Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. You know the saying about the month of March, in like a lion, out like a lamb. While there are no guarantees, the fact is we're inching closer to spring, and that means we'll be working on our outdoor landscapes in the near future. So for fun and inspiration, we're going to take a break from winter today and look at some of the top Vermont landscapes and ideas from landscape professionals. To find out more, we've called on Leonard Perry from UVM's Plant and Soil Science Department. And Leonard, you brought along a familiar guest this afternoon.
I have. It's great to have Ed Burke back with us from Rockydale Gardens. Ed owns and runs Rockydale in Bristol, and he also is very active with the Vermont Nursery and Landscape Association, known as Greenworks, and for 9 years now has been in charge of and running a landscape awards contest to highlight and showcase some great landscapes that the members of this association do in Vermont and some outside the state will see. And the thing I like about it too is even though they're inspirational to see these, you can always pick up some ideas, even if it's a plant, a combination, a curve of a walk, things you can take home to your own yard.
Excellent. Well, Ed, tell us a little bit about this contest.
Well, as Leonard said, it's our 9th year, and we get a number of submissions, and we have 3 award categories, excellence and honor and merit. And so the submissions are judged on their own criteria. We have maybe 10 criteria, such as degree of difficulty, aesthetic value, sort of bang for your buck. What was the project? What did it cost? What was the budget? And did they get what they paid for? And so we don't judge them against each other. We just judge them according to their own merit.
Great. And so let's see the winners. Who's up first?
Well, I think we'll start with of course, the top ones, the Excellence Awards, and we can look at those. There were a couple. This is called the Town Sanctuary, and you can see the before picture, and then we'll see the after picture.
Oh, wow.
Just gorgeous. And I think one of the key things with this one, the person was a gardener, so they wanted, actually, this sounds unusual, a high maintenance yard, which was kind of usually low maintenance.
I don't think I've ever heard
so
say
it'd be something for this gardener to maintain and keep up. And so this is distinctive landscaping. Charlie Prout of Charlotte did this. And then, anything you want to point out too, Ed? This is
they did a typical cottage garden treatment here, where they put in arbors and a little picket fence. And the client actually, I think, retired or had some incident that they were going to be home all the time, and they took up gardening as a hobby. So they did want this. And so they've used a lot of perennials that are associated with cottage gardens: hydrangeas, phlox, probably coneflower, monardas. That was Love Lies Bleeding.
Yeah, Love Lies Bleeding, an annual.
Yep. And put in some paths for a shade garden. They really did the entire lot, both sides of the house and the front. And it made quite a difference.
I love that walkway. That was really pretty.
And part of it was, if he's out there, they wanted the fence so people could walk by and they could, talk over the fence, and speak with them. And
Very old-fashioned.
They wanted it to be neighborly.
Yeah, and then the nasturtiums there, spilling over the walk. I think it's a real nice treatment too.
Beautiful.
So then we have another one, which again is judged on its own merits, and that we can go to. And this is Lovett Park in Waitsfield.
Yeah, and this was a great transformation, because there used to be a little barber shop that existed on this site. It was right next to the covered bridge in Waitsfield. And one of the things they did was recreate the old foundation line out of limestone and create a little create a little pocket park. Really incredible, sensitive.
Then keep in mind that bridge there as we go along.
That's the iconic bridge.
Yeah, and then of course putting in some big stones. Yep. Again, you can put small ones in your yard. Some of them weighed 11,000 pounds, so they had to get a big crane for those.
Yeah. And so what was once a gravelly and concrete sort of tarred up area is now a beautiful little pocket park. And
they
good
said
for the
that
entire
one of
community.
the requirements it had to withstand a flood. Well, after this was put in, the river flooded, and so they could see firsthand. Yeah, it survived.
Yeah, it worked.
You know. And there again, that's if you remember back to the bridge, they put these wood up and down to match the bridge. So I thought it was a nice way to cover up that stone or concrete retaining wall, but also to match the bridge.
Yeah, it's very charming.
But yeah, some great ideas in there.
So those were the top 2 award
Yeah.
winners, and they were quite different from one another, and I can see how it'd be kind of hard to judge. But as you said, each has its own criteria.
Yeah, they have their own criteria, and the judges, look at them against those to see how they fit. So it can be a small place or it can be a big place. So we have some bigger ones coming up.
Okay.
In the honor award category, this next one's Landshapes of Richmond and Caroline Dudek did this hillside retreat. You can see one of the problems was that steep slope, and a lot of people have steep slopes.
Right.
How do you deal with it? Well, they just have burlap and mulch. They use some stones there for retaining.
Yeah, they had to build a knee wall to retain some of the slope, but then they used boulders interplaced as outcrops along the hillside, and then they planted within that. They planted woodland plants that would
You can see the
eventually
challenge
take over the.
working between the
Not
slope
much
and the
room.
house. Not
Yeah.
much room. So and there was the before picture, the deck looking out, and there's a swale coming down for wet weather on the right. But this is how it ended up.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And they had to use a lot of stone at the base of the deck simply to deal with all the water that's coming through. So that's actually a drainage system that will take all that water away. And so it keeps it away from the house.
They have little steps going up, a little area you can sit up there, and they actually have music on the porch, and people can sit all around up there. So it makes a nice, like a little amphitheater, a little
Oh,
close
look
up
at
of
that.
that.
That's beautiful. And that's something that people could sort of replicate, not exactly, but I mean, it's a nice use of the space.
Yeah.
Not an easy thing to accomplish on that slope, too.
Right.
Right, so the one way to deal with a slope. So then the next one is another one by Distinctive Landscaping in Elizabeth Prout, actually, and this was across the lake. That's looking back toward Vermont. And one of the things I like about this, it actually takes advantage of the view, borrows the view, so to speak, in landscape. But that's the before. Then you can see after.
Oh, wow.
Where it's just a gravel turnaround, then they put this nice viewing area in.
Yeah, they took advantage of that opportunity. You walk onto a site and you say, where is the opportunity? And this is a space between the garage and the house. So a place that many people might not think of stopping. So I thought it was a great use of space and a great use of that opportunity.
And this is looking back toward that area, just coming from the house back toward that garage. So making a nice, entranceway to that. And one of the things that impressed me with this was when they first came on, the first thing that hit them was this is front and center, that garage. And
Yeah.
you don't really want to see that. So how do you deal with that? So this is the way they dealt with it. They actually put a
wow.
curve in, just a gentle curve to kind of, so you don't look right at it, you kind of look at some trees, and then pulled the plantings out and kind of mimic, you have the woods on the right, but trying to create some woods on the left to kind of go with that, to bring the forest closer to the house, so you kind of like you're going through the forest.
So they created kind of a private spot, and without changing the house or the garage, they created another space.
Yeah, it looks totally different.
Yeah.
So just by the landscape and a little gentle curve and a bit of planting, you can create new spaces and change views. So
Great
again,
idea.
some really good ideas, And then the last one in this category was really kind of nice looking property down in Dorset. And we take a look at that. It's Overlook by Anna Johansson of Dorset. But to me, this is just, this is something you could do at home. A couple types of perennial salvia, and just interplanting them at kind of random like that. That's just, I love those colors. Actually, purple is the color of the year this year. So this would be
Oh, it
appropriate
is?
for this year. Yeah.
Okay,
So
good to know.
And I think the homeowner also had a similar theme of color inside their house and wanted to carry it out. And so it was very specific for them to use
the
these
entrance
colors.
before. Then you can see after with a lot of asters, great for pollinators in the fall, and
Very natural looking.
yeah, and then a lot of these native type plants, like you see here, a walk, but still be anemone ferns, just kind of interplanted. But yeah, it looks really nice. And then this, take again, using that view, but with the pool and just some little simple things, you know, nice hydrangeas, which are a lot of people know, an agastache on the left there, which is a popular one. But if you notice on the right along there, there's silver thyme kind of creeping over into the walk, which is again something you could do if you have a little walk or a patio, and just something that simple to kind of face down the edge there. But
beautiful. So I think it's interesting how the different landscapers dealt with the difficult situations, you know, the steep slope or just a very stagnant kind of scene, to take advantage of those views. That was really nice.
Yeah, they really, it's amazing to see some of the creativity and ideas they get. And so finally, we have a couple others, the Merit, or three more, the Merit winners. This is down in Brattleboro. Holland's Bloom, and this is Linda Bailey. This again got the Merit Award, and then these people have a fairly big house and wanted some outdoor spaces, so we can see how those were created.
They had a very large side yard, and they wanted to create a series of rooms in that side yard, and it achieved that pretty successfully.
And one of the problems in a lot of urban areas now is they had a lot of water runoff. How do you deal with that? You can't necessarily, in some areas, even put it in the storm drains. They're not set up. So they had to create this pit with gravel for the water to go into. And I know in some areas, like in Massachusetts, they actually have to bury settling tanks, and it can be quite expensive. So anyway, this was kind of putting in that drainage area, and then it's amazing on top of it, you know, they're creating this path. And it was about a little over 3 foot elevation change from the walk up to the back. And I guess it's a very busy road and walk, so we'll see how they dealt with that. But that's the in process, and again, creating levels with those paving materials. I guess they wanted, one of the things they did was use different types of stone to create kind of different areas. This is pretty much planted, but you can see, if you take a look, there's a little bench to sit there kind of on the left center, but now the next one will really show, there's that same bench, but they wanted to have privacy from that busy street and walk, so they put up the fence. I know some judges had some questions, said, well, maybe some other ways you could have done it with a hedge or some sort of arbor with vines on it to make it not quite so, because it was a beautiful view down there, and then all of a sudden, bam, here was the fence and you couldn't see it anymore. So, you know, there's different ways to deal with that. And then the next one is actually closer up here. It's a Bay Road landscape, and it's always fun to see the before the house, and but take a good look at that, and then you can see the after. Just amazing.
It is amazing. It
that
makes
patio,
a huge
those
difference.
Planters, and the big thing this person wanted from Grass Gauchos, Landon Roberts is the one that did this landscape, water features and a koi pond. And so we can take a closer look at that.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of engineering went into making this pond and the recirculating water and filter system, and they have some custom ironwork like this that was done locally, like this bridge, some beautiful plantings that they really wanted the sound of that water. Here's the upper part that drains down under the bridge. There's some ligularia in the foreground that do well. They're wet areas, weeping plants over, Japanese maple with night lighting too. It's really great to see some night lighting, and that's something people can go to home stores and get and put it in your own yard. And it's really
solar lights.
Yeah, it's really good to do that.
Make a big difference.
And then finally, we have one more take a quick look at, and this was in South Burlington. And this is a new series of apartments. They needed some screening. Here's a little sitting area with a fire pit. And they tried to use some ornamental grasses throughout to give it a little more natural effect and do a little screening. This is a raised bed, just seed them, and Rudbeckia, and then the grasses, grasses there, and grow low sumac with the grass again to kind of give a little bit of screening of these views from the busy street out to the right. And it's a lot of water run off the parking lot, so they actually made a rain garden in the center with some plants in it, so hopefully the water will go in there and those can take it up. So again, something people can think about in their own yards, rain barrels, rain gardens, especially if there's water runoff to help with that.
And a little less work involved too with some of those ideas.
Yeah.
Now we've seen some inspirational landscapes. I think it's amazing to see the before and after photos. I love that. And it shows how landscape can really make a dramatic difference for almost any property. At the start of the program, we said that this contest is sponsored by the Vermont Vermont Nursery and Landscape Association, also known as Greenworks. Ed, give us a little more information about Greenworks.
Well, we've been around since the 1960s. We have almost 200 members, and we are a professional organization for those in the landscape and nursery industries. And
one of the ways you can get, if you want some of these professionals, it's a great program. I help run it and train it, actually give tests for these people. It's a Vermont certified horticulturist. People that pass that test really know something. So they're actually on the Greenworks website. There's a list of all these people. You can go to www.greenworksvermont.org and just look under certified horticulturists, and you have a list of all these people. These are the people that have gotten some training and really passed a pretty stringent test and really know what they're doing.
And do beautiful work.
Yeah.
And this year's color is purple.
It is. So think about that when you're buying your plants this year. So.
Thanks a lot to both of you for being with us.
Thank you.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.